My wife and I's encounter with Bigfoot in the Appalachian Mountains. This is Bone Chilling Chronicles with Bobby. My name is Alex, and I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains my entire life. If you grow up here, you learn the difference between being scared and being cautious. I've heard coyotes that sounded like screaming women, foxes that could make your blood run cold, black bears walking through yards in the middle of the night. There's almost always a reasonable explanation. About 3 months ago, my fiancé and I bought a small house deep in the mountains. The nearest town is about 20 minutes away, and our closest neighbor is over a mile down the road. We wanted the quiet. We wanted to be left alone. For the first week, everything was perfect. Then she stopped sleeping. Every morning, she'd tell me she'd heard something walking around the house. Not random noises, slow footsteps that circled the porch and stopped outside our bedroom window. I'd tell her it was a deer or a bear. She always shook her head. They're footsteps, she'd say. 2 legs. I laughed it off. I'd spent my whole life in these woods. I figured she just wasn't used to how loud the mountain could be at night. For almost 2 weeks, the same conversation happened every morning. She'd look exhausted. I'd tell her it was the wildlife. Eventually, she stopped arguing with me. Then, one night, I woke up on my own. She was already sitting upright in bed, staring at the window. Without looking at me, she whispered, "Do you hear it?" At first, nothing. Then, crunch, crunch, slow footsteps outside. Not pacing, walking with purpose. I listened, waiting to hear 4 feet moving through leaves like a deer or bear. Instead, the sound stopped directly beneath our bedroom window. Then came something that still makes me uncomfortable to think about. Whispering. I couldn't make out the words. It sounded like several people quietly talking over each other, just low enough that my brain kept trying to understand what they were saying. It wasn't coming from the woods. It sounded like it was right outside the glass. My fiancée grabbed my arm so hard her nails dug into my skin. I told you. I got out of bed, unlocked my gun safe, and grabbed my hunting rifle. I honestly expected to walk outside and find a bear standing against the house, or maybe someone messing with us. I stepped onto the porch with the flashlight in one hand and the rifle in the other. The yard was empty. I swept the light across the tree line. That's when I saw it, standing just outside the woods, maybe 30 yards away, was something I still can't explain. It was unnaturally tall, pale enough that the flashlight caught it immediately. Thin, almost impossibly so, with long arms hanging at its sides. It wasn't hiding behind a tree. It was standing completely still, looking at me. I don't remember seeing eyes. I don't remember seeing a mouth. I just remember knowing it was looking directly at me. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then it leaned forward slightly, not like it was getting ready to run, more like it was curious. I fired. The rifle echoed through the valley. The thing turned and disappeared into the trees faster than anything I've ever seen. It didn't crash through the brush or snap branches. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. The sheriff came out the next morning. He searched the property, checked the woods, and eventually told me it was probably a bear or someone trespassing. There were no tracks, no blood, no signs that anything had been there at all. My family doesn't believe us. Most of our friends don't either. The truth is, some days I don't know what to believe. Maybe my fiancé's lack of sleep got into my head. Maybe I saw something ordinary and my brain turned it into something else. We moved out 11 days later. For months afterward, neither of us talked about it. Then, While unpacking boxes in our new house, my fiance found an old phone she'd used when we first moved into the mountain. She was scrolling through old pictures when she suddenly froze. Alex. I looked over and she'd gone completely pale. She handed me the phone without saying another word. The photo had been taken almost a week before the night I saw the thing. It was an ordinary picture of our backyard at sunset. She'd sent it to her sister to show how isolated the house was. At first, I didn't understand what she was trying to show me. Then, she zoomed in on the tree line. Standing between two trees was a tall, pale figure. The same shape, the same impossibly thin body, the same place I'd seen it that night. Neither of us had noticed it when the picture was taken. I've stared at that photo more times than I can count. What bothers me isn't that it's there. It's what happened after I looked closer. The figure wasn't facing our house. It was facing deeper into the woods, like it had been watching something else. I don't know what scared me more, the idea that it had been there long before we noticed it, or the possibility that whatever it was watching eventually left the woods and came to our window. I truly feel like the sheriff knew more than what he said.